Pawn Stars has been airing for over a decade on the History Channel. The Golden Silver Pawn Shop is located in Las Vegas, Nevada on the Las Vegas Strip. Many people come to the shop in hopes of buying or selling unique historical pieces for a good lump sum of cash. The Pawn Stars have to make sure if they are buying anything, whatever it is, it's legit and definitely worth it. The Pawn Stars should be considered veterans in the market considering it has been owned by the Harrisons, which have been in the pawn business for over 30 years. Also adding the fact that the show has been airing for 522 episodes in over the last 9 years, so it is extremely unlikely that the pawn shop workers never make an error or do bad ideas. It's crazy to believe that even the Harrisons never mess up. I mean, we are all human after all. Who doesn't make mistakes? Whether if it's a bad deal, fake items, or even stolen goods, we're about to take a look at some of the biggest Pawn Star scams, but before we do, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Despite making great efforts to abide by state and local law, the Golden Silver Pawn Shop staff has unknown to them occasionally taken in stolen property like every other pawn shop. In season 7 episode called Shekel and Hyde, Rick bought a 2,000-year-old tyrant shekel, a coin most historians believe was made of currency using the infamous transaction of the 30 pieces of Judas paid to Judas to betray Christ.
It's a shekel of Tyre, like from the Bible.
Yeah, we only buy American coins, man.
A detective later came to the shop and informed them that the coin had been stolen not by the seller who was featured in the episode, but by a previous owner of the coin. Nevertheless, the Harrisons were able to keep it as the original owner had been compensated by his insurance policy. But while they get lucky, there it turned out that Rick had paid way too much for the coin. Despite its rarity, a well-preserved shekel of Tyre would usually only be worth around $1,200, and because it had been cleaned, this one had lost a lot of value, so most of the $1,600 that Rick had paid for the coin are probably lost forever. In an episode named Chum's Ricky Business from season 15, a woman entered the pawn shop with boxes and boxes of old comic books she inherited from her uncle. All the comic books she doesn't know anything about were handed down to her, and she was looking to sell them. Certain there is something valuable in the pile, judging by the prices on them, Chum Lee concluded they date from 70s or 80s, the period also known as the Bronze Age of comics. Without asking for a second opinion, Chum Lee started haggling. The woman's initial asking price was $2,000, but Chum Lee immediately lowered it, taking into account the time needed to go through all of them and find the diamond in the rough. He offered her $50 per box, which summed up to $350, but they eventually struck a deal at $500, with Chum saying that life is about chances and sometimes you just gotta take them. Unfortunately, when an expert checked the comics out, it turned out that this wasn't the right chance to take, as he said that the comics would sell for about $200 if the Pawn Stars were lucky.
You spent $500 on some comic books I'll be lucky to get like $180 out of, and 7 boxes of recyclable paper.
Back in season 8, a studio musician called Vic Flick came to the Pawn Stars to sell a 1961 Fender Stratocaster. The guitar fascinated Rick from the get-go, as he recalled his early childhood memories of watching legendary Jimi Hendrix playing the iconic guitar. Apparently the guitar model has some history since Leo Fender, the inventor, came up with it in 1954, and it hasn't changed much throughout the years. Rick decided to follow his hunch and bought the guitar for $55,000. However, as Vic Flick, the owner of the guitar, is not really a legendary musician, most of the songs that had been recorded with this guitar were not exactly huge hits, apart from the James Bond theme. Naturally, the guitar just started collecting dust in the pawn shop with a price tag of $90,000, so Rick eventually decided to sell it on an auction. Much to his despair, the guitar sold for merely $20,000, leaving him with a loss of $35,000. And that's all we have for today's video, guys. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.